Yo, yo, yo. It is Sound Advice, and I'm in HifiVega's final form as a co-host of this show. And I will be back on. But as always, for the last time as a host, I'm joined by this dude right below me, the DIY audio guy. What's poppin'?
Nothing at all.
And this guy down in the corner here, Nick, aka Toyd's DIY Audio, the Toy Master. What's up, Nick?
Hey, not much. Just having a wonderful day. We're getting ready to open up the cake and the champagne afterwards. So,
yeah, man. And last but certainly not least, we have the smartest big dummy that I know of, Derek, the home theater guy. What's up?
What's up? You guys don't know about my home theaterness, do you?
No, they
You'll
don't.
Find
I
out
do
about
know.
it tonight.
I do.
I don't. I'm actually excited about this.
Yeah,
cool. Me too.
Scott's in the chat already. Appreciate it, bro. As always. All right, let's start out. Do you guys have questions? Did you think of questions you want to ask Derek?
Yes.
I kind of know his
What's
setup
his home
right
theater
now.
setup?
Yeah.
Well,
let's hear
I've seen
about
you.
it.
I saw you test a couple home theater subs before, and talk about that. But yeah, I don't actually know what is in your home theater.
Yeah, so I did a video several years ago, and I'm the kind of guy who, when I get something set up that I like, I don't really do a lot of adjustments. So I've got a Acer 1080p projector on the back wall.
Yeah.
It's in our playroom. It's about 140 inches or so, and I've contemplated painting the wall or getting a screen or anything like that. But honestly, at night or in the daytime with the curtains down, it looks good enough.
Yeah,
So I haven't done anything.
I can vouch for it.
And Vega's seen it. It really looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So other than that, it's just the Onkyo surround sound receiver. I'm just doing 5.1. It has the ability to do 7.1, but I don't have Atmos or anything like that. Have a PlayStation 4 for my Blu-ray and all that good stuff. Roku Ultra for the streaming services.
Nice.
And I've got Boston Acoustics tower speakers. Now, these are from the late 90s, I believe. They've got the 7-inch drivers, 2 of them with a tweeter, and I've got the big center channel that's got the 2 6.5s, a 4-inch, and a tweeter from Boston. And I got some Bostons up in the rear, and a 15-inch Cerwin Vega powered subwoofer. That's in the back. So that's what I'm playing with now. I do have some plans to put the Kicker quad box in the home theater and hook up some car amplifiers to it. So that's kind of in the plans for the future. To try
What kind
that
of
out.
power supply are you going to use for that?
Good question. So Excess Power has those lithium 12-volt batteries that are designed for real high burst.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got the Massive Audio 100 amp power supply. And I think that, along with that Excess Power lithium battery, can handle several thousand watts. So I'm going to try it, see how it goes.
I'll be interested to see if that's going to work or not. I mean, I know a lot of people used to use, car amplifiers, and then they would, come up with something. I'm surprised you weren't going to use like a pro audio amplifier.
Yeah, could do that. Just more fun to try the car stuff.
Well, yeah, of course.
Have
Well,
one.
I don't know. If you have it, yeah.
Yeah.
You need to use that iNuke 6000 that didn't test very good.
Yeah, well, a lot of people like those iNukes for home theater stuff. I'm sure if you guys keep up with the forums, I don't know that the home theater forums are still around on the web. There's probably stuff on Facebook, but yeah, a lot of people like those iNuke amplifiers for subs. I mean, you're getting 3,000 watts times 2 channels, so you can have either a dual voice coil sub or multiple subs, and who needs more than that for a home theater? Anybody raising their hand?
A lot of people.
I actually run an iNuke 6000, and I also have a Crown XTI 2002. So, but yeah,
have you seen Youth Man's channel?
Oh yeah, he's ridiculous.
I think we're on the same wavelength, man. He's trying to hit 140 in his house.
I think he has hit 140.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. He is his setup, just the way his screen pops down and everything. You guys, have you seen that?
Yeah.
The transparent screen. Oh man, that is so cool.
Quick shout out to Thomas Marshall, the Marshall TM, I like to call him. If you guys don't know, there's a whole sideshow that goes in here. It's called 14.4 volt talk. They've branded themselves. They're an official thing, and they branded today, which is actually my wife's birthday, National HifiVega Day. So I'll make sure to tell my wife that it's my day. It's not her day, but I appreciate it.
Sure, she will appreciate that.
All the same. Yeah, maybe I'll just give her all the donations from tonight's episode. El Fuego bereavement. Appreciate it.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
So do you guys talk much about what you have for your home theaters? I know, Nick, you just mentioned some of yours, but do you guys talk about that much on this show? Do you get into that subject much at all?
Well, I think I'm the only one that has one.
We have. I don't know that we've gone through and done like a big breakdown of it. I've talked about mine off and on. So Nick, since yours is probably the best setup of the normal three of us, why don't you share your setup first?
Well, mine changes every month when I build a new speaker, basically. But if I'm being honest with myself, but I have three of the THX clones. I cloned the THX KL650s, and those are really great sounding. So I have three of those up in my front soundstage, and then I have Dolby Atmos above 7.1. I'm sorry, 5.1 with Dolby Atmos. So those right now are just some in-ceiling speakers. I was using the the Eminence Beta ones, which were really great, but honestly, my wife didn't like them in the ceiling, so we're switching out to something that's a little bit more visible. But that's in the living room. In the upstairs home theater room, we have an ugly setup. So I have my ugly towers, ugly center, and right now I'm just using some Klipsch rear surround, but I'm in the process of designing some new rear surrounds, which are going to be very similar to what they use in the movie theaters. And my camera went out, but what they use in the movie theaters, there will be like a Klipsch clone of some that you use in the movie theater. So those will be pretty sweet. All high efficiency.
The camera paused perfectly. I love that look on you.
It was
that's
not
my
one
favorite.
of those looks that you don't want to see, Paul. So yeah, he's right. It's like a smirky look.
Mine are always my eyes closed.
It always seems to go that way. So the Rob and most of the guys in the chat know what my setup is. My big dive into DIY actually was in my home theater setup. I was ready to buy a home theater subwoofer. I get to looking at what's out there, and I'm looking at these things going, the amps on most consumer home theater subwoofers are lying to you. You know, Dick Riculus would love to test some of those, I bet. And then you move up to the really high-end, high-power stuff like SBS, and I couldn't afford that. And I thought, well, heck, that was back when plywood was cheap. I was going to buy some birch plywood, and I built one. And that was probably 2015 when I built my home theater subwoofer. And it's just a Dayton Audio 12, and it used one of those Dayton Audio 250-watt amps. Derek, you tested it out. And then so I built that, and I was kind of hooked. I had the bug, and so I wanted to build my own center channel. Never had a center channel. So I ordered a Tritrix kit and built the center channel for the Tritrix kit before they sold a center channel kit. And then I moved into this house and started building the towers, the mass loaded transmission line Tritrix towers, and I did the rear surrounds are from the Tritrix kit as well. So all the speakers in my 5.1 setup are DIY. And as I think about it, it's been a couple of years since I built one up there, and it's time to replace it. I recently rebuilt the subwoofer because I don't know what happened. The amp just started sounding weird. It's just popping and cracking. And I dig out the warranty information 2 months after the warranty expires, and I bought the in fact, Derek, you tested both these in the same video. So I bought the 300-watt off-brand amp that Parts Express sells. And that one right now is dead at the moment. I had a lightning strike, and everything went pop. And I was able to power cycle the home theater receiver. It's just a Denon 7.1. I've only got 5.1 hooked up. And the amp wouldn't power cycle back on. I'm guessing it's a fuse. I hadn't had time to pull the fuse out and verify. But right now I'm not running a subwoofer. And I don't miss it, because I'm really pleased with just the sound of those mass loaded transmission line towers, a pair of 5 1/4s in each corner. And It's like no one else knows the subwoofer's gone besides me. They're like, oh wow, nice bass. And it's like, well, not yet.
Well, that's like the Uglies, man. The Uglies without a subwoofer. I mean, the Uglies without a subwoofer, people believe there is a subwoofer in the house. I mean, it'll shake your room. It's pretty crazy. I also run bass shakers, which I know a lot of people don't. But I wanted to answer Jesse's question. Jesse said, hey, how important do you think timbre matching speakers is in a home theater? Personally, not. I don't think it's a big deal. However, if you did want a timbre match, the most important part to timbre match is your front soundstage, center, front, right, and left, because that's where panning will be done, like from voices, you know. So that could make a big difference. I've never really experienced a big difference in that. So that's just my opinion.
So oak, cherry, and pine are okay to use together?
Sure.
Sorry, I had to go there.
He can't do it. He's got what's known in the business as dad joke Tourette's.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
No,
now I didn't want to tell. I didn't want to say my system in front of. This is, if you guys want to know the truth, why I'm leaving Sound Advice. Justin and Nick, they kicked me out because I have a Polk soundbar for my home theater setup, and they're like, "This will not do. If you do not change this within the 3 weeks, you got to be gone." And I didn't make it happen.
That's actually not true. I actually told him I would build him a surround sound if he wanted. that is truth.
Yeah, that is the truth.
I said, I will build you speakers if you want. I said, I could build them all the time.
A lot of my thought to this is it's kind of like car audio, right? If you're going from a TV with built-in speakers to just stereo left and right speakers in a small amp, that's like 1,000% better than the TV. So then everything beyond that is a small increment up, right? So the way I see it, just like I was talking about the screen, you know, I could spend money to buy the stuff and paint the wall, or I could get a $3,000 Stewart screen to put on the wall. But what's the performance versus price benefit of doing whatever kind of upgrade that you're wanting to do? And in my opinion, I like a big screen. It looks good on the wall. I don't need a real screen or a painted wall. But as far as the other stuff goes, to me, as long as it's a pleasurable experience, you sit down and you feel like you're in a theater and you really like it, then if a sound bar is all you need, then a sound bar is all you need. Just don't use the TV speakers is all I have to say. They're so
That's
horrible.
A good point. Well, actually, the first person, it's kind of funny. When I first moved here, I bought a really nice table saw from a guy. And this guy's like, he came in my house and he saw the Dynas and he goes, "Hey, can I hear those?" And I said, "Sure." So I played him the Dynas and he loved them so much. He's like, "Hey, you want to run power to your shed out there, right?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I don't have power to run out to it." He goes, "I'll give you all the stuff to run the power in the shed if you build me 2 of those speakers." I said, "Sure. Deal." But I mean, I think it's true though. There's that point of diminishing returns. But you know, when you hear like a really good setup for the first time, and you're like, "Oh yeah," then it's one of those things that, are you going to notice what you don't have?
Yeah. Well, no. And then when you're up in the attic trying to run speakers down the speaker wire down the wall, and you're like, "This is a bit much. I didn't sign up for this." Deviant has arrived.
Hope everything is all right, brother.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me too, man. He's still repping 14.4 V talk, so I'm sure it's a minor thing. Hopefully. Appreciate it.
So running the speaker wires in the attic was a challenge. You can see right here, I've got these slopes over here, if you can see them. So what I've got in this house that I've got upstairs that was finished after the house was built, before I bought it. And on either side, I've got these 2 big attics and then a little small attic right above. And I basically went through the wall and over, and I bought one of those big long fiberglass, pieces so I could run the wire. And it was relatively easy, but I picked a day like this time of the year when I thought the weather would be nice, and it was still 2 million degrees in the attic, and it was miserable. And the worst part about these attics off to the side is I have to duck to get in them. I'm a tall guy like Derek and Rob are. And so, when I'm done with that, my knees are killing me, my back's killing me. And it's like, I don't want to do that again, which is why I stopped at 5.1. I should have ran 2 more wires while I was at it. but I don't want to do that again. That's not fun.
So I want to agree with Jesse again. I feel like I always agree with Jesse Strawn. He says, hearing a great home theater setup is like hearing a great sound quality car setup. It ruins you. You're like, my ish is trash and I must change it. I come to this conclusion. This is my personal opinion, is there are certain movies that if you don't hear it on a good sound system, the movie just isn't the same. You like watching, you're like, it's an okay movie. Like Pacific Rim is a good one. If you watch Pacific Rim like on a TV or maybe a cheap sound bar or something, you're like, movie's okay. And you listen to it like on a really good sound system, you're like, oh my gosh, that movie is awesome. Maybe it's not really that awesome.
It's the reverse, though. Yeah, I think it's the reverse. I think the good sound system will make a bad movie seem good.
And that is true. One of the things I've been doing. So my wife and I are working our way through all the Doctor Who, trying to get caught up. We're almost to the end of the Matt Smith era, and whenever we watch Doctor Who, I unhook the rear surrounds because there's just something about the mix on those DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever the heck they are. They're on disc. It's just you can't hear anything but the right and left surrounds. Nothing at all but that. And so we unplug them. It's like, oh, now I know what they're saying. The plot makes far more sense now. It's just terrible. It's a crappy mix, and wouldn't know it if I didn't have the good speaker setup. It'd probably sound great on a sound bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nick, what do you think about the Atmos versus the standard 5.1 to 7.1? Is the Atmos really worth the extra speakers and the work involved? Like,
so
is it that much of a transition from the 5.1?
I think that's a good question. So when I first ran my theater in my old house in Pennsylvania, it was 5.1 surround sound, and I loved it. I added 2 more speakers for 7.1, and there were some movies it was really good on, but most of the time I was like, I mean, I could have went without it, and I would have been fine. In fact, I don't know that there was a huge jump from 5.1 to 7.1. If people are like saying, I want to jump from 5.1 to 7.1, I'd be like, I mean, you can, but I don't know. It wasn't a huge difference to me. But then I ran Atmos in this house, and when I say Atmos, I want to be clear. It's in ceiling, not the up firing units, because there's a difference there, but the in ceiling ones. And that changed everything. I mean, that was the first time I was like, that was worth it. And I was really surprised. And yeah, I have a 5.2.4, and that's, Jesse said the same thing. To me, it's worth it. I completely agree. There's movies that it's completely transformed. It's just like things just start going over your head, and it's just amazing. I was watching, have you guys seen that Ford versus Ferrari yet? It's a good movie, right?
That is an awesome movie. If you haven't seen it, absolutely need to watch that.
Absolutely. It must watch. And the opening scene where it kind of is dark and the crowd is going, and it sounds like you're right there in the thing. It's just like, I mean, all around you, and you think that you're in the stadium with all those guys. It's unbelievable. So for me, yeah, I think it's definitely worth that. Although I think it's really hard for a lot of people to add in ceiling speakers. I think that's the problem with it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've been contemplating the receiver that I have now, the Onkyo. I bought a newer one that had preamp outputs for all the channels for a different reason, for adding extra amps, obviously. Yeah. But I just haven't switched it out yet because the other receiver hasn't died yet. I've just been waiting for it to die. However, it did get struck by lightning, and an HDMI port in the receiver and also in the projector went out. So I switched it over, since luckily they each have, the Onkyo receiver has 2 HDMI outputs and the projector has 2 HDMI inputs. I just switched both of them over and it worked okay. And I'm like, okay, well, I bought a little bit more time because I've been looking for another projector too, because I know the one that I have is like 4 or 5 years old maybe, and it's 1080p. It's not 4K. It's not super, super bright, but Rob saw it when he was here. It's got 3D. You can put on the glasses if you want and watch things in 3D, which, you know, some people like it, some people don't. I think it's kind of cool.
I like it.
The best thing I like about it is we do the VR stuff, like for the PlayStation. And so everybody who's in the room can see the projector screen, and then the people who have the headset on playing the VR get that experience. So it's really neat, kind of a family fun play night, you know, to use that and have that big projector, so that it just opens up the experience. But one thing I will say that I have been looking at, have you guys noticed those ultra short throw projectors that can sit like right up against your wall?
Yep.
that's really what I want to do for the next run. And I know those do need some kind of an ambient light rejecting screen in order for those to work right. But I've been keeping my eye out for those, and once I can find one that I think I like enough, I think that'll be my next purchase.
So, Derek, did you ever do like the Nintendo Wii or like the PlayStation Move or anything on your projector?
We still have the Wii right now. We have a Wii U. We have a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 4. So all of them on the projector. Now, the Wii, the regular Wii, is 480i. I don't even think it's 480p.
No.
Maybe it is P with the adapter, with the component adapter. You can definitely tell the quality of that, like blown up that big. It's a little pixelated, but you get used to it. I mean, the room is big enough. We're about 12 or 13 feet back when you're sitting on the wall. So you're far enough back where you don't really see that unless you're up close.
See, I think like those types of systems, we used the PlayStation Move a lot back in the day where, it's a camera system with the little lighted things. And I guess they also use it for the VR, but for PlayStation. But man, playing those games on there, like whether it be like those rail shooters, which are just, I love rail shooters, so I have a lot of fun with that. Or even like Frisbee golf and stuff. We were just having a blast, and seeing it on that big, huge projector, it's awesome. I love that.
I'm a fan of the outdoor projectors setups. That's the fun ones. When you get the neighborhood movie night or the family movie night.
If you have an environment for that and you have the weather that you can do that in, I know around here, once it hits a certain time of year, and I'm sure it's the same for you guys as well, but bugs, heat, humidity, even at night, it's ridiculous outside. So the springtime and the fall, when you can do that, that's pretty cool.
You know how we take care of that in Arkansas?
I think we're all the same latitude, aren't we? Roughly the same latitude. So we're all about the same climate.
We're all basically off I-40.
Yep.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But we just get the big fans, man. The big steel cage fans, put them up. It blows all the bugs out of the way. You're good to roll.
I'll tell you what's even better. Have you heard of Spartan Mosquito?
Would they come out and spray for them?
No, this is a really neat thing that just, I don't know when it came out, but I learned about them last year, I should say. But they're these things that you hang up around your house. Well, you hang up two cat-a-corner on either side of your property, basically. And you just fill them up with warm water. And for the next 90 days, they keep mosquitoes off your property. And I've only used them for 1 year, but the 1 year I used them for, they worked fantastic. They were made by a guy who wanted to keep mosquitoes off of his pregnant wife in, I think, Mississippi. And so he came up with this, and I don't know, they sell them all over where I'm at, and I don't know. They worked really great for me.
Cool. I have to look into that.
Yeah.
There's people around here that spray, like Rob said. The neighbors on both sides of me have it done, so it keeps the bugs down for me too.
Our city sprays. That's how bad they are here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the city that I live in, they come and spray like 3 times during summer.
Yeah, back to the outdoor theater. I did actually buy one of those blow up screens one time. They had it at Target or somewhere, and it was like normally $250. They had it like for $120 or something. I never took it out of the box and never used it, so I think I took it back right before the time was up for me to return it. But there's a lot of those. If you go on Amazon, there's a ton of them that you can get, those outdoor blow up screens.
Yeah, I think they're great. You can also get the ones that just pop up too if you want to do that, portable ones. They're not going to be as big as the blow up one.
Well, I know Joe and Tell, did you see his little setup he done earlier in the summer for his little outdoor theater? I mean, he went way over the top and used some really high-end, or I don't know if they're high-end because they were kind of new to me, but some expensive big speakers. It was pretty cool.
So that's what I want to end up doing is I want to build some outside. I have the area for it. I just haven't done it yet, but I do want to build a permanent screen area there with just some wood. Right now, it would cost me my inheritance to do it, but or my kids' inheritance, I should say, to do it. But eventually, when wood prices go down, and then use that paint that you were talking about, Derek, I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah. Also, there's people that buy the a material they use for billboards. Have you heard about that?
Oh, no.
A lot of times they'll use that for the outdoor screens because it has the correct type of reflectivity to work outside, and it's also durable since it's a billboard material.
That makes sense.
But I used to follow one of those outdoor theater forums pretty heavily on whatever website it was. I can't remember. It's one of the forums, so it was many years ago. But I always looked into doing that and thought that would be so cool to have like a huge screen outside and be able to sit like in your porch on the back of the house or something and watch a movie. But then I was like, I don't know if my neighbors would really appreciate that. I don't know. I mean, it seems
just
really
invite them
cool,
over.
but unless unless it's like a community type thing where people come over and join you, I don't know. It'd be
Yeah,
fun.
I'm lucky enough that my neighbor next to me has 100 acres of farmland, so I don't have anywhere near him. And then my other neighbors next to me are 7.5 acres, and they don't have a house on it. So I have enough area that I don't know who would complain. Let me put it that way.
Those are the best kind of neighbors. The ones you can't see.
We're here.
Ones that are a long way. The further I am from my neighbors, the better.
I don't know. I love people, so I don't mind having neighbors. But when we're talking about things like this, it's nice.
I got my housing addition is still kind of new. So I have one neighbor on this side and they're really cool. And then no neighbor on this side. But also I'm not doing a bunch of SPL testing like Derek in his neighborhood. So
He says he's not, but yeah, I saw the people in the back of his video the last time he did it, and they were like frowning and holding up pitchforks and stuff.
they're on the neighborhood Facebook group. Like,
Yep.
how old is this guy? What's he doing out here?
Man, look at that kicker drink again. You were just drinking the kicker Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I got to, man. I got to keep it cold because I had 2 drinks. I was thirsty. It was actually a little warm at work today, believe it or not. I had sweat beating up. So that's not a good sign.
Yeah, so I want to step back a little bit about the home theater stuff because I actually got out of car audio in the mid-90s in order to get into home theater. And you guys may remember right about the mid-90s is when DVDs came out. Remember that?
Yes.
And when DVDs came out,
Saving
I got
Private
the
Ryan.
first,
Matrix.
right.
Or the two big
first-
ones. Yeah, sorry.
Panasonic DVD player came out at the time that I got from Best Buy open box. It was like $350, normally $600. And I built my home theater around that. I had an Yamaha receiver, and back then it was really difficult to find receivers that had subwoofer outputs on them. So you pretty much had to have receivers that had preamp outs for the front channels, and then you could take it out and like jump them back in and then use the output to go to another amplifier. So I did that, and I used 2 10-inch Blue Thunder car audio subs as my subwoofers. So I started off with, once the DVDs hit the market, I'm like, this is the future. I know it because it's the same size as a CD. You know, the quality is super good with the 5.1 surround and everything. So that's when I kind of lost interest in car audio and got into home theater at that time. And I was just all into it and had a 32-inch Sanyo 4x3 TV. And I thought I was something because a 32-inch TV back then, guys, that was a big screen. Y'all remember that?
Huge,
Sony they
man.
had that was like 4 feet
Yeah.
deep.
And it weighed
was
like 400 pounds.
400 pounds.
At least. Yeah, you need like 6 people to pick that thing up. Yeah. I used to
Yeah,
sell that
what's-
TV.
What's
We would
funny
never-
about that is I'm using a 32-inch
Why?
TV as my monitor here. I mean, it's
That's true.
We're struggling, Justin. I know, man. It's tough these days, right?
I mean, yeah, the struggle's real, man. I've only got a 32-inch TV here for my monitor. I didn't even pay for it. My mother-in-law bought it and didn't know how to hook it up, and so she said it didn't work, and so she gave it to me and bought another one. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. Next time, call me when you buy equipment. I can hook it up.
All right, so I got a question for all 3 of you guys. I already know my answer. All right, so when we've had a couple different wars in home theater, right? Like we had beta and VHS, and then we had HD, DVD, and Blu-ray. Did you guys buy into either of them, or if not, which one did you think was going to win?
So the beta versus VHS, I was way too young and lived in a part of the world where no one had technology.
I was referring
so
to the HD, DVD, Blu-ray, because
I waited till Blu-ray took over. I remember during the competition, I vividly remember telling some people that I'm skipping the whole thing. I'm waiting until everything goes to to a hard drive or streaming. And they were all like, well, that's going to take a lot of them. It's like, just wait. Why dive into the Blu-ray versus HD, whatever, when eventually it's all going to go to a hard drive. That was what I thought. It was going to go to a hard drive, but no, it didn't do that. It all went to streaming.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too to remember, Nick, is back when DVDs first came out, some of the what do you call them? I will say artists, but it's the movie companies did not agree to go to Blu-ray to DVD because they were afraid of the format. Mm-hmm. So Paramount was one of the ones that held off for a long time and didn't sign in to use DVD. So that was a little bit scary at the time because some of my favorite movies weren't available on DVD yet, but they ended up coming over. But as far as the Blu-ray and HD DVD, I'm kind of like Justin. I kind of set back a little bit. I'm kind of like, Sony lost this battle before with Beta.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure to take their side.
They know how to lose it.
I knew they had the power of the PlayStation 3. Remember that when it first came out and it could do Blu-ray?
Yeah,
you could
Scott
actually
just mentioned that
buy
in
a
the comments.
PlayStation 3 cheaper than any other Blu-ray player. And it actually is a really, really good
It was one of the
Blu-ray
best
player.
on the market at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
I bought a Blu-ray player only because my DVD player died and DVD players weren't around anymore unless they were like $10 junk ones.
But Scott's right. That's what won it for Sony was the PlayStation 3. When the PlayStation 3 came out, it was over with. I backed up HD DVD because I was like, I thought name recognition and Sony's lost this battle. I thought this, all right. Sony's lost in beta. And then I was like, name recognition. Everyone knows DVD and everyone knows high definition. Everyone's going to be like, oh, an HD DVD. That makes sense. I was wrong. Toshiba lost the battle.
Yeah. I was team HD DVD as well because at the time I was an Xbox 360 player and they had the add-on. So I was like, yo,
that's right.
I'm just going to get this. It's only like $100. Obviously, this is going to be around for a long time. And I didn't know that if they would win, but I figured it would be around much longer than it did. And when they started dropping prices on the PS3, because if you remember, I don't know how big of gamers you guys were. When the PS3 came out, it had a price tag of $600. And they literally told you, if you want a PlayStation 3, you should get a second job when they announced it. So the PlayStation 3 was getting stomped for the first 2 or 3 years of its life, maybe even 4, by Xbox. No one played PlayStation 3 at all. I ended up switching over, and it seems like everybody, towards the end of the generation, PlayStation 3 kind of took over. But there was a time when PlayStation 3 wasn't looking so hot, and people are like, yo, they're over.
I don't remember that, but
I don't remember that either because I didn't get mine super early, but I remember the Blu-ray with that being the big deal. And I wasn't a real super gamer. I mean, I liked some of the games from the PlayStation and PlayStation 2, but I wasn't a hardcore gamer. But I'm trying to remember, was PlayStation 3 the one that was not backwards compatible?
Right.
Because it seems like one of them was not backwards compatible.
The fat one was backwards compatible, but then when you went to the newer slim line, they lost it.
Okay. Yeah. There was, that was always a concern too. It's like, I got all these old games and I want to still be able to play them. And that has been, constant battle over the years, is trying to find something that will play the new stuff, but, still play the old. But I know, it's this whole thing of these companies trying to get you to buy new stuff all the time. And they're just, how many times have I bought The Matrix or some of my other favorite movies, Star Wars? And I bought it on VHS. I bought it on DVD. I bought it like a special edition DVD. Then I bought the Blu-ray. Then the special edition Blu-ray. It's like these people are digging into my pocket left and right.
I'll tell you, the worst offender in games is Nintendo. Nintendo will sell you Mario Brothers #1 300 times in 300 different flavors. It's all the same game.
Oh, the Pokemon games. I mean,
yeah.
No, yeah.
I mean, you got the DS out, you're playing Pokemon with your kids, this is version whatever. It's got some color or gold or black or green or whatever. And they're all exactly the same,
Right.
just
Are
a
they
different
really?
map. Just different
They're very
maps.
similar.
Huh.
But the
we
whole
used to call them
process-
baby's first RPG because it was like the first role-playing game that any kid ever played of a certain age anyways. That's what we used to call them. See, I was a pretty heavy gamer when I was out of car audio. And as I started to get back into car audio, I was still gaming quite a bit. as soon as I started YouTube, like I haven't played a game in basically since I started YouTube. So I had to trade off. You only got so much time in a day. You need time for your family. You need time for your work responsibilities and other stuff. So I had to decide, do I want to do YouTube or do I want to play video games? And, luckily or not for you, whoever likes me or hates me,
that's for those.
I chose
OG.
YouTube.
Yeah, they were talking about the OG Nintendo in the console. I had to show that I still have mine right here. I don't have it hooked up
He's got
yet.
it like within reach too. That's impressive.
Oh yeah,
like
I have.
I have
my
to the closet. He just reaches down under his.
No, I have my Dreamcast right there too, and my Nintendo 64 and all my
We're pretty
favorite
serious
systems.
about our props on this show. It's not unusual for us to, I usually run down and grab a bunch of props. Every time someone mentions a DATS, I usually have mine and I grab it, but I just use it down in the garage, so it's downstairs. But we got our props.
Subwoofer build in your background, the scale is so crazy on that because I know that enclosure is actually pretty decent size, but it looks
this one
small.
back here.
Yeah,
It does.
Oh, it's not big. It says 3/4 of a cubic foot. It's 0.75
is it?
cubic feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It
it's
looks
a small
bigger
box.
in the main video than I guess.
Yeah, well, I was
It
zoomed in
did.
tight on the main video.
Yeah.
And
I
I'll
thought
tell you about
I
that.
thought you were packing a
enclosure.
24 in there.
What's kind of cool about that enclosure, right? The material I made it out of is some stuff I got that was extra from a cabinet shop in town. It's 1 inch thick plywood that's got an MDF veneer on it. So think about a 1/2 inch sheet of plywood with a 1/4 inch sheet of MDF on either side. And that thing is just it. You tap on that thing, it feels like you're tapping on a rock, and it weighs a ton for that little box. But I wish you had some more of that material. It's the best thing in the world to make a speaker box out of because you don't need bracing. It's solid, rock solid.
Yeah, for sure. I know this is a total side jag, but do you guys know why you got Robbie the Robot with the NES, the original?
Do I know? I love Robbie the Robot. I mean, I don't love him, so to speak, but he's worth a lot of money now.
Yeah. Well, the reason they got it is because
decent.
Toys R Us refused to sell the Nintendo Entertainment System as a standalone video game, so they wanted to sell it as a toy. So that's why they came out with Robbie the Robot, because at the time Toys R Us was the biggest retailer of video games.
That's actually a pretty neat story. I think I bought my Nintendo 64, believe it or not, at like Sears or JCPenney because they used to sell games. People don't remember that, but those places used to sell. I don't think they sell video games anymore, but they used to.
I've bought them at Kmart. Remember Kmart?
Oh yeah, Kmart.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hey,
Here's the
speaking of
worst thing
side
about-
jag,
Go ahead, Justin.
guys,
sorry.
I got a little side jag for you here. If you can share the screen.
Oh,
What do you think about this beauty right here?
Why are you taking pictures of my car?
So there's a new stereo shop opened up in town, and this is it's a small local chain. It's called Cartronics. I'm not sure if they're outside of the area. They're been around the Nashville, Tennessee area for ages. And they opened a store, and I popped in there to see what they had, and they had a Ferrari. And this is their demo car, and they let me sit in it and play around with it for a few minutes. And I was just like thrilled that they let me do it. This thing is pretty sweet. You can see the Moscone amplifiers and the blue LEDs in the frunk there. The amazing thing is I actually was able to fit in this Ferrari and fit in it comfortably. Climbing out was a little bit of a challenge, but getting into it and sitting in there was great. Check this thing out. It is it's a bit of an older one, but it's a nice looking car. And you can see they got the big Stinger touchscreen, the big 10-inch screen. So it's got the massive Stinger screen in there, and you can see the Focal 3-way components where they did a perfect job of car audio fabrication right here on the doors. See if I got a shot of the tweeters on the A-pillars. So I just wanted to show you all that. Let's see if we're on a side jag. And this thing was how did it sound? I thought it sounded okay, but the thing that it could do was it could be very clear when it was loud. And anyway, so I got to play around with someone's Ferrari with their high-end Focal and Moscone and everything you can possibly imagine system.
You're in the market for a new car, right, Derek?
Yeah. There you go.
No
And speaking of vehicles, I need to give you all a base van update. The base van saga. I'm putting on a trailer and I'm shipping it to Derek since he just had an incident.
Oh, geez.
No, I sold it. That was my wife's old van that we've had since 2009, and it needed to leave. It was time to say goodbye to it, and so I do not have a vehicle for a bass band at the moment. But if you think I need a bass band, you can go to my Patreon and you can start throwing money at it, and I'll build one eventually.
Oh man! Oh, here we go. Jesse, as always, spot on. The YouTube millions.
Yeah, you guys can do the math and figure out how much people make on YouTube, and I can go ahead and tell you that unless you get
it's not as much
multiple millions of views per month, then you're not making a living.
No,
I am happy with my side hustle.
So, Hi-Fi, share that screen real quick if you don't mind. So what do you guys think of this? This is a new 15-inch sub by Punkilde. They're designed by ScanSpeak.
Oh,
It has expensive. Look at its excursion. Its linear excursion is 25.6 and its max excursion is 42.
Wow.
Scroll back up. Show us the resonant frequency.
2500. It's 22 hertz.
That's low, man.
No, you can cross that thing. You can tune that down to like 15 hertz. I'm supposed to be getting one in soon. I'm actually, well, I don't know when I'll get one in, but it seems
it's got a
6-inch voice
call.
Yeah.
Jeez. You need some power for that.
I'm going to do like a 15-inch sub shootout. So I'm going to include that new Max X from Parts Express in it. And then this and something else. I have another one that might be coming in, but I don't know.
So how is a sub that big with that big of a voice coil high sensitivity?
It's not. It's 85
not.
dB.
Exactly.
It's not. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
It needs all 2,500 watts.
Yeah.
It's very sensitive with 2,500 watts.
That looks like
it's very low sensitive. I mean, and you can just tell typically by that big surround, that you're not going to have a high sensitivity.
It looks like a car audio sub, like a high power car audio sub. And I don't know of any car audio subs that have 6-inch voice coils.
I know. I think that looks, I mean, the only thing that I don't like about it is look at the nominal impedance.
8 ohms?
Yeah.
Dude, what amp are you going to use to get 2,500 watts at 8 ohms in a house?
And it's a single voice coil, not double?
We already talked about it. I'll have to probably bridge the iNuke 6000.
I thought the iNuke 6000 was already 2-channel bridge.
Oh, it is bridged. You're right. It is bridged.
Yeah, you can't bridge that one.
You're right.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, you only got probably 15 amps service in a plug. So
probably
the
20
max power.
I think I'm 20 or 30 depending on which plug I plug it into. But yeah.
Well, if you got more power, you obviously can pull more power.
What about the amp the Life of Bliss guy uses? That Symboson? Is that what it's called? It's the fake Symboson or something like the one they use in the theaters?
I'll have to talk to Kyle about that. I'm not sure. I don't know which one he uses.
I think his is rated to be like 6,000 watts times 4 or something crazy like that. And it's bridgeable too.
Dang.
Yeah, so that would probably do it. I don't know what the true power is, but I think somebody has actually done some testing with an Audio Precision on an amp like his, and they actually posted the results in the HT forum.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably still do all right with something like either the Crown. I don't know what the Crown 2000 XTI does bridged. It's the XTI 2002. I have to look it up because at 8 ohm, I mean, I know what it does at 4 ohm. So I think actually the iNuke will still give it.
Yeah, I figure if you got 1,000 watts, you're going to be able to move it.
It's going to be the same. It's going to be 1,600 watts either way, either with the Crown or that, which I think you'll be fine with, but still.
Yeah, how much
is
that
sub, Do we know price
Nick?
on it?
We don't know. Punkilde doesn't have. You have to buy directly from Punkilde right now because they don't have any dealers.
That's okay, but we need to know how much it is.
If you have to ask Derek.
I guess so. I mean, this is the opposite of car audio dealers. They're the ones that you can't buy direct. You must buy from a dealer. In this case, you can't buy from the dealer. You have to buy direct. We're not going to tell you how much it is.
Well, they're looking for U.S. distributors, and no one's going. I do think they need to make that either dual 8 ohm impedance or 4 ohm impedance because I think that's the one thing that has me like, I wish it was. unless they want you to just run 2 of them. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure they want you to.
You recommend a home theater subwoofer kit from Parts Express that includes an amp.
Well,
They've got one.
I don't think they have any
amp.
do?
They've got one with the amp that comes with passive radiators. I think it's a 10-inch or maybe a 12-inch, but they've got one with two passive radiators and one of their high output reference high output subs and the amp. That's the one I'd look at. And of course, it's passive radiator, so it's compact.
Right.
Yeah, and I tested that 1,000-watt plate amp from Dayton, and it didn't do quite 1,000 watts, but it was close. It was like 950, 960, something like that.
See,
that's
what are your thoughts on that, Derek? Because I feel like if you're gonna spend that's about $500. If you're gonna spend that, I think might as well just buy like an iNuke or something.
I think you're right, Nick. I would stay away from high-powered amplifiers built into the subwoofer enclosure, just obviously due to the vibration and everything, unless you're going to be able to super, kind of sub-enclose it, and that's just wasting space in your enclosure. So I would skip the plate amps.
It seems like anything over 500 watts, you probably need to consider an outboard amp.
Yeah.
Although they do make, some people.
The SVS subs, they're built in, right? And those are, they've got some 2,500 watt amps on some of theirs, right?
You know what amp I'd love to see tested? The Sunfire Junior or the Sunfire regular amp? Because they claim 2,000 watts on the regular,
2,700 watts, I think.
27 and 1,500 watts on the Junior, I believe, or 1,200.
Yeah,
something
I've
like
looked
that.
for those on eBay. It's just that the ones that are working are so expensive still.
Right, that's what always goes out is the amp.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a home theater question for y'all. What kind of experience do y'all have with power conditioners and other, things that you plug your amplifiers into to even out your power supply?
Who wants to go? I have no experience, so I can pass on that.
I do, but I have experience, and I didn't like it. I had one house that had bad power, and it would actually shut off all my equipment every once in a while, like right in the middle of a movie or something, because of the power conditioner. Because the power conditioner would sense something bad going on, then it would shut everything off. And I ran electronics there way before I had a power conditioner on it. I never had any issues with my electronics as far as dying or, burning out or anything. So I don't know. To me, it's a no-go for me. I still have one. I still have a Monster power conditioner in my theater room in a box that's not being used because I'm just I don't want to use I don't know.
Do you have the Monster shampoo too?
Well, I used to sell Monsters, so we would get all kinds of good deals, and they would I'd go to events, and I don't know, when I get really into something, I try to learn everything about it. I know that's stupid what I do. And so they would ask you questions, and I would know the answer of every stinking Monster thing that they tried to inundate you with. And so I won all kinds of cool things. I won $500 speaker wire, which was $10 really, but it looked cool. And I was yeah, look at my $500 speaker wire. So they got for free.
So I can speak to, I've used uninterruptible power supplies.
Yeah.
I highly recommend those, but I don't know about power conditioners because those are nice. I guess they kind of serve that purpose as a power conditioner because they have a battery and then it goes out. I don't know if it does any better, but it's just nice to have.
Yeah, I think it depends on a couple things. It depends on the power that you get in your home. Is it clean power or is it dirty power? If it's dirty, you want to condition it a little bit. But the other thing I would say is make sure you have everything plugged in where it's easily unpluggable. So that way, if you have a storm coming, forget using any kind of device in between the wall and your equipment other than just unplugging it. And that's going to save it more than anything. Because even these conditioners and these surge protectors and whatever, the power can still jump through them sometimes and it can ruin your equipment. So I would say just pull it out, unplug it from the wall. But the other thing you'll have to remember is what I didn't do before that killed my projector input is you have to also unplug the cable connection, which comes in, which if it gets struck, then it'll come all the way down the cable. It'll hit the box. It'll jump from the box through the HDMI into the receiver, from the receiver to the projector, and you're frying the whole chain of HDMI. So just unplug it.
So one other thing before we get to that real quick, and another thing that a lot of people don't realize is a lot of these power conditioners will rate their really awesome warranty, like all your devices that are plugged up to it. There's a caveat to that most people don't know. They actually have spots labeled for everything. And if you don't have that device plugged up to what was labeled, or if you don't have everything plugged up, they will not warranty it at all.
That's
How
like
they
those
gonna know that,
Asurion warranties.
Because I
you
used to sell
on
them.
eBay.
Because I used to sell them.
Yeah, but how are you going to know? Because it just
Oh,
said,
how
hey,
are they
you
gonna
fried all my stuff, right?
Well, I mean, they
Was
would.
it? Did you have the receiver plugged into the receiver port? Of course I did.
Yeah, of course. I have
They're
no
gonna
idea.
say
I
no,
don't.
you
I don't
did.
know
They're
if they
gonna say
make
no,
you
you
send.
didn't.
I don't know if they make you send pictures or what. But yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. But
Has
something to
anybody
keep
used
in mind.
a server power supply? Well, it turns out one guy has a video on just this. No. This guy.
Which one?
Toolbox power supply.
Yes, toolbox. There's actually a lot of different ways to do it, and I did some research. And if you want to do DIY, there's some Dell 1400 watt power supplies that you can actually add a potentiometer, and you can adjust the voltage from 12 volts up to almost 15 volts, and still get that 120 amps. So if you're a DIYer and want to do that on the cheap, those server power supplies can be really strong. There's only one caveat, and Rob knows what that caveat is. What is that, Rob?
The power supplies?
Loud. The fans are loud
Oh.
on server power supplies.
I use the Dell thin rack mount power supplies. They do not have a fan on them. They just get very hot. But I
They just smoke.
dude, I used this thing for more than an hour before, and it was the 1400 watt one, and I was pushing maybe 100 amps through it for an hour, and it didn't overheat or blow up. Yeah,
Was I the only one that froze there?
it could have been me.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't
Well,
see you freeze.
Fellas, I hate to break up the party, but I have not eaten dinner yet. I got forced to work 12 hours a day at the last minute, so yeah, it kind of sucks. But do you guys got anything to pimp before I say my final goodbyes?
Just you. We were all just going to
As
pimp you
host.
out. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm not worth much, so if you're planning on making some money, I don't think it's gonna happen.
No. I don't have much. I mean, I just have the Cartesian build coming out this week, and I finished the CSS SDX12 build, and that is probably one of the cleanest sounding 12-inch subwoofers I've ever heard. It's very, very clean and tight until it isn't, meaning like all of a sudden you've hit its maximum mechanical limits because you hear it, but otherwise it's very, very clean the whole time. And so if you're looking for a very clean sub, that's a good one. But and I'm finishing up the Cartesian as well, which will be kind of cool. Better than Bose. That's what I'm calling it.
There you go. That's a good cheat name right there. Get them in.
It's
Awesome.
actually true too.
So I've got a couple of things coming up. I purchased a cheap, crappy prefabricated enclosure from Amazon, and I'm hoping to drop how bad is the crappy subwoofer enclosure from Amazon sometime this next coming weekend. And I'm also going to be experimenting with some YouTube shorts. So I've got 2 YouTube shorts that are going to drop sometime this week. And I'm really curious, if you see one of my shorts, I don't know, can you comment on shorts? I've never done YouTube shorts before. I don't know why I should
What
bother
is a
with them,
YouTube
honestly.
short? What is it?
It's
I don't know what that is.
Short video that's in vertical instead of sideways, so it's in portrait instead of landscape. Whatever. So
Yeah, they're trying to copy the other
TikTok.
stuff, the TikTok, right? It's like a TikTok.
So there it is.
Yeah.
Let me know if you see my YouTube shorts this week. I'm kind of curious as to how that performs, and if people see it, and if people like it or not.
Do those show up in the feed, like in the community feed or anything? Because I know other people that have done them, and I think Mark Cardio Fabrication's done them, and I don't see them in his feed. So I don't
It's
know where
random.
they show
I've
up.
seen them in some of them, but some of them I haven't.
Yeah, as the commenters are saying, it's stupid. I think it probably is, but I thought I'd give it a try. And if it doesn't go anywhere this week, I'm going to not try it again. So that's what I'm going to work on
you
this
miss
week.
100% of the shots you don't take. So
That is true. Rob and I know that 10 out of 10s lately on our videos that we've uploaded are just like a gut shot every time.
Yeah.
Ugh, you suck. No, but I'm just testing more car amps. I've got more than I could test in probably a year around here.
You've got a really good one coming up. When's that one coming out?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Budget
gonna be good.
budget amp that actually did really well. You guys might like that. If you need something small, you want something to run on your stock electrical, want a nice bass knob that's got a clip light built in, really cool. To check that one out tomorrow. I've got some other big things coming that I haven't really talked about at all, but they're coming later this year, and yeah, we'll just stick it at that. But lots of plans. Just we'll see what gets executed. But thanks for having me. And, you know, Rob obviously is doing these shows like every night. I think he even sleeps. He even talks in his sleep doing the podcast. But Justin, you and Nick, I mean, you guys are doing a great thing here. Both of your channels are doing awesome. So I would say is just keep it up. You know, enjoy what you're doing. Make sure you're having fun, and things will keep going. And, you know, thanks for having me on this week to talk about my home theater, and I'd love to be on again sometime, maybe when I do some upgrades or have anything else to talk about. Again, thanks for having me on. And Rob, wish you the best. I'll see you Wednesday nights. And you've got plenty of things going on. But
and Derek, I want to offer this invitation to you. If you ever want speakers designed for you, just let me know, and I'd be happy to design you a custom set of home theater speakers.
Awesome.
You just have to tell me what you want and what you're thinking, and we can go from there.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
All right. So my whole spiel. First, I couldn't pick a better guest to have at my final host episode, because I will be on later as a guest, you know. But the good thing about being on as a guest is you just come in and see what they throw at you, and you throw a little bit back. But I'm excited to see how the show changes from here, because I'm sure it'll change somewhat. You know, it may be a different dynamic, maybe even get a new third host. I think it's going to be good, and I will be watching when I can. So I think it'll be fun, and we're definitely not partying on bad ways. I think everybody knows that. I just, like Derek said, I had too many shows, so I'm narrowed down. I only stream Wednesdays and Thursdays now, and I might be on the Kicker stream in the future. Definitely not tomorrow, though. I forgot. My wife doesn't listen to this, so we're having a surprise birthday party for her tomorrow. And I told Kip I'd come on, but I realized that today that we were having a surprise birthday party. So I had to tell him, like, hey, man, I can't come on. But, yeah, that's it for me. I've got stuff coming out. I'm working on a side hustle that you guys will know about soon enough. I've updated all my Patreon. I've updated my merch. What I'm doing is going into HifiVega version 2.0. This is phase 1. Phase 2 is coming up soon. So Patreon, merch, all that stuff, check it out. I'm trying to make it more valuable to you guys.
Awesome.
And Rob, before we say our final goodbyes, I wanted to let you know how much I appreciate you and how much I've enjoyed these conversations with you, and all the cool things we do behind the scenes when we compare notes and talk about YouTube and stuff. I remember one of my earlier videos, I was watching, you know, the comments section, and HifiVega popped in and made a comment, and he said, "I dig it." And I just about fell out of my chair. It's like someone who actually has like a real YouTube channel has seen my stuff and they dig it. And it was like my happiest YouTube day so far. And I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate you. And, you know, what I learned from that is when I run across a small channel, I pop in and I say, hey, I dig it, or my equivalent of that, because it meant a lot to me. And I appreciate your friendship, and I've enjoyed doing this show with you. And, you know, from far as I care, you've got a permanent standing invitation. If you ever want to come back on, if you've got something you want to talk about, one of the things you're moving into in HifiVega 2.0, I'd love to have you come on and talk more about it anytime.
Yeah, and we know you need to go, so I'm going to just make this really quick and just say, you know, honestly, I'm so glad you're leaving. I can't wait till they move forward from this. And no, we are all really sad to see you go, but we are all really excited about the future. I know, you know, you told us some of the things that you have going on in the background, and I know we're all very excited about where it brings you. And I hope that the best success from here on out, and don't worry, you are not allowed to come back. So
yeah,
you're allowed anytime.
It.
Anytime you want to come back, you're welcome.
Yeah,
and I still am gonna build those infinities for you for your test bench. I just haven't got to them yet.
Yeah, no sweat. The liking on the small channel thing that come from this guy over here, or wherever you point to him, and it just passed down. So this is a community, and will always be a community, and that doesn't mean that we're better than anybody else. We're just part of the community. So that's how I feel when I watch all these small channels and check everyone out. So it's community. We have fun.
Right on.
All right. That's it. Anybody got any smart things to say as we sign off?